Alright, video update time. This week I'm going to do a... What? Alright, video update time. This week I'm going to do an in-depth overview of the engine, considering that's where I've spent most of my time so far. And I'm going to do it while drinking straight moonshine. That's water. Can't do that with real moonshine. That's dumb. That's stupid. Okay, so the engine. It started life as a naturally aspirated L28E, an N42 block, and it had an N47 head on it with dished pistons. The N47 head was warped and cracked. I didn't know this when I bought it, but it was. And I now have an N42 head. So the bottom end has been completely torn down to the block and rebuilt by me, so that's not saying a whole lot. But it does have new bearings, new piston rings. I've honed the cylinders. I've got ARP connecting rod bolts and studs, head studs. Let's see, new bits include this water pump, oil pump from an L28ET. I figure that's probably going to be necessary considering I'm also going to have a turbo on this. Obviously timing kit, that's all new. Let's see what else is new. Piston rings, obviously those are new. And I'm going to show you a huge fault. So far this whole build has gone pretty good, and I think it's pretty solid except for one thing that I'm about to point out. So I've had two bolts break off in the block so far. It was, let's see, I think it was this guy. Obviously it's not that one, but anyway, so around that area I had one break off. I drilled it out and rethreaded it. And this one that's missing, that's because when I put everything back together, I overlooked that one, which I left the stud in the block. That sucks. So that's the only issue so far is I have 4 out of 5 bolts for the water pump. Now, I'm sure somebody on a forum somewhere is going to say, "Oh, you idiot! Oh, you can't fix it! You fucking douchebag!" But anyway, look, yeah, I know it's a problem, but man, I put everything back together. Look, honestly, I'm just gonna put it together and run it, and hopefully, oh geez, that's the big hopefully, it works. And I'm basing these hopes off of it's new equipment. I've got good mating surfaces, good gasket. 4 out of 5 is not bad, right? I know that's pretty pathetic. Hell, I mean, I've even got Permatex on there. Look, we'll see if it works. If it doesn't, that'll be a learning point for myself and the internet. Use all the bolts. If it does work, cool. We'll see how long it works, how long it lasts. I know that's shitty, that's terrible, but man, I already had everything put back together. Hey, we'll see what happens. Okay, so anyway. Okay, the intake manifold. So I completely stripped it down and somewhat cleaned it. It's really not that great, but I'm really just tired of cleaning at this point. If it's not an internal component, it'll just get sort of clean, and that's what this is, sort of clean. Okay, so starting off, I've got the throttle body from an S13 240SX. I got it for the throttle position sensor, but as a bonus, well, it's 10 millimeters larger than my stock one. So that's cool, and I actually, let's see if we can do this, bored out the intake manifold flange, so it would allow for better airflow with this guy. Alright, and I've got injectors, refurbished injectors from an L28ET, so that's good. I've got an eBay fuel pressure regulator with a go fast gauge. No, but seriously, I got this because I wanted to be able to adjust from 3 bar up to 4 bar. I'm going to be running it at 3 bar for the initial braking period, and I'll run it up to 4 bar as needed whenever I want to start adding more power, need more fuel, and don't have bigger injectors. We'll probably get bigger injectors someday, but as for now, that's what we're running. Block off plates. I made a couple block off plates out of some scrap steel laying around that look pretty not legit, but they work, so that's the cool part. I've got my JDM vacuum lines. So I pretty much took everything off and only added what I need. And what that is the vacuum line for the fuel pressure regulator, right here. A vacuum line splitting off into 2 vacuum lines for a boost gauge and a map sensor. And the rest of the holes were plugged with some AutoZone plugs. JDM tight, yo. Okay, anyway. So the EGR valve is no longer there. And I filled this hole with a whole bunch of weld to block it off. Now the reason I did not weld a plate on there is because the old gasket is now a part of this, and I could not get it off. So I just filled the hole with weld. Okay, as far as ignition goes, I've got this leftover Crane Cams XR3000 module and an LX91 coil that I'm going to use. Intercooler from a Mark III Supra, some super awesome green intercooler piping. That's the exhaust. That's it. It's going to be really loud. The turbo has a stock turbo from an L2080T. It's been rebuilt, and it's awesome. It's nice and clean. There's no play. It spins freely. It's great. I've already got the oil feed and return flanges put on there. However, I'm kind of at a stopping point there because I don't have the gaskets for that flange or the downpipe. I've got them on order, so in the meantime I'm going to get some work done on the floor, which is rusted out, and the differential. I'm going to weld that. Oh, the valve cover. So I started to sand it in preparation for painting, and then I thought it looked kind of cool like that. It's got an interesting vintage look to it, so I'm going to leave it that way. Alright, that pretty much covers the engine. So while I've got you here, I'll just give you a quick walkthrough of what else is going on. More parts to install. A lot of this is just replacement bits to include a clutch from an L20 or for an L2080T, so that's a 240 millimeter clutch as opposed to the naturally aspirated 225 millimeter clutch. Electric fans in those white boxes. Just more parts, bits and pieces that came off of the car. Ooh, okay. This box in here, let's open it. Okay, this is the for sale box. So anything that I'm taking off and I'm not going to reuse and is still in good condition or working condition, I'm going to sell it. Got the ECU and the harness pulled out, the AC pump, power steering pump, or maybe that's the reservoir pump thing, whatever. Fan, and the clutch and the flywheel, it looked like it had been replaced recently. I'm not going to worry about digging in there. I'm holding a microphone. And there are some other items like the condenser, things that just can't fit in this box. Anyway, the for sale box. And I'll post stuff for sale when I'm done with the build, because who knows what I might need later. And that's pretty much that. So like I said, I'm waiting on gaskets now for the turbo. I can finish up the engine. So now I'm just going to knock out the rusty floor pans and weld the differential. Until next time,